And welcome to another edition of the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. We say it every week. You know where to find us. Not the main episode. We're doing a mini mailbag for you just to get you through the week here. We've done First Bite. Thanks again to Gianna Thomas for joining us. Go check out that episode. Man Coverage with Lomas Brown is out. You want to go check out. Mike Payton did an interview with the great broadcaster and former Detroit Lion there. We've got last week's PODcast recapping the amazing victory over the Jaguars, and coming up on Sunday, you'll have it Monday morning, but you can catch it live on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit. Sunday is PODcast live to recap whatever happens between Atlanta and Detroit. But for right now, we've got a mailbag episode, and I am Chris Perfett, your adequate host at Chris Perfett, Perfett. We'll get the crew in here real quick and then immediately get to the questions. Jeremy Reisman, fearless leader, sometimes interim head coach at Detroit Online. Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, Chris. I'm happy to try this out. I know we always do a mailbag in the off season. We don't really always get a chance to do it during the season, so I feel like this could be something that we maybe do every week. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out availability. I know we had a lot of people asking us, like, hey, where'd the mailbag go? Because we stopped doing that for a while. But, you know, it's hard to get those questions turned around on Sunday after the game and record and get an episode hot into your fresh little hands on Monday morning. But we're trying this out. And, yeah. And joining us, as always, is the Rock God. Theme is reserved for Sunday. Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Ryan, what's up, buddy?
Not a whole lot. Just excited to get to the inklings that every single fan has sent to us.
Yeah, I kind of missed. So it's funny because I missed the podcast on Sunday, obviously. And suddenly there's a bit of is it just how the Lions beat the Jags, Jeremy, that you would say has got fans' interest hyped up again? Because I feel like if it was a close game, we'd be kind of scuttlebutting a bit, but you lay 30 on the Jags. Feels good.
Yeah, I think there's still I would say still a majority of fans that aren't buying it just because of the Jaguars, and that's completely understandable. And I've got at least one foot in that group, but I think the fact that they look so good in parts of the game in which they've looked so bad in the past, specifically run defense, pass defense, and everything. And we came into that week saying Jacksonville is actually not that bad of an offense, and maybe that ends up to be true. Maybe that ends up to not be true. We'll see. I think teams are still trying to figure things out. But yeah, I would definitely say the manner in which the Lions won, more importantly than blowing them out, is just looking so good defensively has people maybe feeling it a little bit, and you know, looking at that 7-game stretches. Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
You can maybe say it about the Lions. Maybe they just feast on bad quarterbacks. I mean, Kyler Murray, though, trending upwards. I think we got to give the Lions credit for beating them where they did. And yeah, as you say, the schedule is lightening up. Who knows what the Falcons are going to look like? I believe that the word you used was doppelganger when describing Falcons looking at Lions, the two Spider-Men pointing at each other. And then after that is the Colts, whatever. The Vikings have had trouble. Washington football team. Panthers not as hot as we thought. So yeah, this is an interesting time, and it's still a lot of football to be played, Ryan. That's the cliche.
That's the cliche. There's lots of football to be played. There's a schedule to play itself out, but I'm not drinking any Kool-Aid right now.
Nope. We have the cup in hand, but we haven't taken a sip yet. We're letting it breathe.
Yeah, we're not sure which cult leader has mixed this brew. So
is it the 2017 recipe? Is it the 2016 recipe I made with Mad Dog in it? Is it something else entirely? Who knows?
I would appreciate it if it was a 2016 blend, because that's my favorite season of Lions football as a fan.
That was a damn. You know what? I think the 2016 one was the better one, and that was the one you got drunk on in Punta Cana. We shared that. We shared the supercut of Punta Cana with the Discord the other night, and people enjoyed that.
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
I don't know how anybody could not enjoy me trying to make amends with somebody by offering room service chicken fingers.
No, they were nachos. They were.
They were nachos. I think I ordered everything.
Look, here's nachos. Yeah, at one point we actually yell at you because you get up to get room service while waiting for room service to come.
Well, you know, it was all free, so why not?
That's true. That's very, very true. But yeah, that's enough scuttlebutt. We should get into the questions. And I already see Twitch chat. If you're listening If you're watching live on Twitch, we don't usually talk about it for the podcast recordings, but as a mailbag episode, we are reading your questions on Twitch. We're going to be writing them down. We're going to take what we have. Some of them might be repeats. I see you, Ryan the Lion 2988. We are going to get to that question. I think someone else has asked that question. We will get to it, but I think we first start with this question here. I like this from Jackson Reddick 34. And Jeremy, you can put these up on screen if you want, I think, if you can zoom in enough. If
Maybe.
not, don't worry about
Probably
it.
not.
Yeah. Not something we planned beforehand. Jason Reddick 34 asking us, do you see Marvin Jones getting traded at the deadline for something? He won't bag Golden Tate return value, but I could see him getting shipped away. What are your thoughts?
I think my thoughts are it's highly dependent on what happens in this next game, and I guess the game after that, because I think there's 2 games before the trade deadline to kind of decide whether the Lions are going to be buyers or sellers. And the one thing I'll say about Marvin Jones is I don't think they're necessarily going to trade him away because they're upset with his production. I know he's only had 17 yards in the past 2 games. I know he doesn't look like his old self in terms of yardage numbers and yards per catch numbers and touchdown numbers, but I really think that's more of a result of just simply having so many weapons on offense. All that being said, he's probably the most likely to be traded of anyone because of his contract situation, because of his age, because the Lions are okay in terms of depth. I would say like Quintus Cephas starting in his place isn't the worst possible outcome, isn't one of the bigger drop-offs in talent, I think. And, obviously there's a lot of value in starting a rookie in his rookie year and giving him that experience. So I think it's a possibility. I think we just kind of have to wait and see how the next 2 games play out to see whether the team's going to be a buyer or seller.
So if I recall correctly, the Lions did get a 3rd-round pick in the 2019 draft for Golden Tate. So obviously, if that's where I think we're setting his ceiling to be, I guess the question is, are you going to be really getting much back for that? And by the way, like the contract, I think on Marvin Jones is a little more bearable right now to trade it. So, that might not be as big of a deal. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I think with Jeremy to the point that they wouldn't trade him because of his lack of production this season, but I do see moving on from Marvin Jones as being an addition by subtraction for the Lions. He's been dealing with knee problems. I know he's also getting a little long in the tooth for wide receivers in the NFL in terms of age, but I think that having somebody out like Marvin Hall or Jamal Agnew or putting somebody out there who has more speed, I think that would do wonders for the offense in terms of stretching it out a little bit. I know that we want to get Quintus Cephas out there, and that's great too. But I think my main point in summation is that Marvin Jones, moving on from him would be addition by subtraction. Now, obviously, you have to find a trade partner. And looking at the top teams, I'm just not too sure. I know Baltimore just brought in Dez Bryant. I think he's gonna be an addition to them once he gets up and running. How is Dez Bryant 31, by the way? Dez Bryant should be like 45 years old.
Seriously,
that guy was playing with Marion the Barbarian Barber. Like, how is he 31? But so you have Dez Bryant going to Baltimore. You have whatever's going to happen with Antonio Brown. If another team that wants to be a buyer, that wants an added wide receiver, looks like he's going to be available for a team. I just don't know who's really in the market or who's clamoring to get Marvin Jones.
Right. And how much are you going to pull for him either? I mean, third is out of the question. That's not going to happen.
No.
And
not a 4th, not a 5th.
Maybe a 5th. I would say 5th is probably a ceiling, but you also have to realize everyone else sees his box score right now too. Everyone else sees that he has 17 yards in the past 2 games. So you're not exactly selling high at him at this point with him.
The George Carlin line about how you're trying to make people think like about stuff and trash and all that definitely applies here. I think a little bit. Like, you can't really fool people on this. I was looking this up. If I'm reading this correctly, just for funsies, I wanted to look up what the Lions turned Golden Tate into with that 3rd-round pick. From what I remember, they traded up with Minnesota, I believe, and got Will Harris in that 3rd round. Or am I
womp?
Yeah.
Great.
So I'm just saying, like, I mean, there's value in trying to get, you got to get what you can for him, right? You don't want it just to be zero. I totally get that. But I'm with Ryan in that I think it's just in large part, the only reason we're doing this question is I think it's just time to make room for other wide receivers, as you say.
Yeah.
Like, and Marvin
all the weapons.
Jones is just, without the other weapons, you've got depth. We've talked about the depth of this wide receiver core. It's just time to start exploring other options. And I just don't know who's the dance partner right now. It might just have to be one of those sunk costs. Like, you're just not going to get a cost back on every trade proposition you have.
Yeah, and to be honest, the contract that they got Marvin Jones on originally was probably, would you say that it was Bob Quinn's best move he ever made as a Lions general manager? I mean,
it's up there.
As far as value goes, I don't know if there's anybody who he's gotten more out of in terms of bang for your buck.
Yeah, he was a good transition wide receiver number one when the Lions lost Megatron and before they kind of stumbled onto Kenny Golladay kind of coming into his own. He was a great transition. He could still very well be, we have to see how the rest of the season plays out. And I think if anything would help his trade value is if he plays well in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan. What?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay. Next question. You want to take? You know what? We've had someone in Twitch chat ask this as well, so I'm going to move to this question. We've got trade deadline questions for the first half.
I mean, we're only about 10 days away. It's perfect timing.
Only 10 days away, and we're gonna probably have a reaction podcast to it rather than another. We'll probably have another mailbag episode. We'll see starting who comes up on the block. But D Hubber 33 in Twitch chat. Oh no, I'm sorry. Not D Hubber. He has a question, but I have that saved. I'm sorry. Adequate. It was Ryan the Lion 2988, and we're also taking this from Tyler Bostador on Twitter, both asking that they want to know, do you think a trade for Quinn Williams would move the needle for this team as a playoff contender? Why or why not? Now that question is coming from Tyler Bostador, and Ryan the Lion also just straight up asking, should the Lions get Quinn Williams? And if I remember the news today, Quinn Williams, there were teams available who wanted to get Quinn Williams, who have called the Jets for his availability, but then the Jets turned around today and say they're not receiving any quote unquote serious trade offers for Quinn Williams, which kind of sets off warning flags in my eyes, and that I think the Jets are trying to get too much for him.
Yeah, I've seen people on Twitter say that Quinn Williams would be worth a first-round draft pick, and I think that's just absolute malarkey. I have no idea why you would trade a first-round draft pick to get Quinn Williams. I think that the whole argument of trading for a known versus an unknown just doesn't really apply here. I think that draft capital and draft assets are so extremely valuable in today's NFL that if you were to see a player get traded for a first round pick, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, Yannick Ngakoue got traded for a second round pick, and that was a huge deal. I don't think you usually see things like that in the NFL, trading that high of draft capital for an established player. And we're talking about Quinn Williams, who's just out of his rookie season. So for the Jets, obviously, I don't see why they would have much motivation to move a player that early in having him. So I think that they're right to kind of like stick their feet in the ground and say, we're going to expect something serious in return. And probably, I think I read a report that said they hadn't received an offer better than a second round draft pick.
So they want a first.
Seems like they have their value established. So to answer the other question though, Quinn Williams doesn't move the needle for this team doesn't move the needle for this team as a playoff team at all whatsoever. I don't think that one player comes in here and changes it unless it's a position like quarterback. And I don't think that the Lions are making any moves there anytime soon. So,
yeah, I mean, to bring up a Lions fans meme that I see all the time in the Pride of Detroit comments, does he play linebacker? No? Then he's not going to move the needle that much. I know he's a big run defender. I know he could take someone like, John Pennicini, who's actually playing pretty well out of the lineup, or Nick Williams, who's struggled, but like he's a run defender through and through, and that means this coaching staff might like him a lot, but Does that change things drastically? I don't think so, because I do think that the defensive front, the defensive tackles on this team aren't even playing that bad. It's the linebackers that are really the main struggle when it comes to run defense. So I don't think it moves the needle all that much. Getting a top 5 draft pick just a year after he's drafted is a significant thing. He should draw a big market. He should draw at least a second round pick. I just don't think the Lions are in a position where they need to be that aggressive to go and get someone, because we saw what happened with Minnesota with Ngakoue. They got super aggressive because they thought they were close. They thought they were one pass rusher away. And guess what? They had to turn around 2 months later, tail between their legs, and say, whoops, we made a mistake. And good on them for getting almost everything back. You know, when you make a big trade like that and you can say 2 months later, oops, we made a mistake, and the worst thing that happened was your second rounder became a third rounder, that's not horrible. But
it's bad, but it's not horrible.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's not horrible. And so I don't know. I just like, if not everything was in flux with this GM and they could think about a potential long-term move like this, because getting Quinn Williams still on his rookie deal, you got him for the next 3 years. That's a big move, but this team needs to win right now, and spending, I think, a second rounder or a first rounder on a defensive tackle isn't how this team wins this year.
Yeah, if we were talking pass rush, you might have my interest a little bit more, because you know how I feel on pass rush when it comes to this team. But there's nothing I think Quinn Williams would really bring. This sounds crazy to talk about a number 3 overall pick from last year's draft, but he doesn't bring anything to the table that changes the DNA of the Lions right now. And if I'm looking at this defense, I want a player that changed the DNA of this defense. I want a player who can like really be electric off the edge, or I want a linebacker who is desperately needed in the midfield to really just batter up and fix up some of these problems. I think Quinn Williams plays to some of the strengths the Lions have, but then your question is always, if you're improving your strength, does that really make you that much better? And is it worth, what Jeremy's talking about, the cost benefit analysis? Is it worth the cost here? And at 2-3, third in the NFC North, and honestly, like both the Bears and the Packers only have 1 loss apiece right now. They've both those teams have some appreciable room on the Lions and the Vikings, and I understand there's a third wild card this year. But if you're making that kind of trade for Quinn Williams, you're saying you're pushing for the playoffs. And I think that's a question the Lions need to ask themselves in the next couple of weeks before the deadline is, hey, are we really in for playoff contention or not?
Yeah, I think these days leading up to the trade deadline are going to be very interesting, and they're going to be pretty illuminating about what kind of control Bob Quinn still has. I'm not saying if the Lions just absolutely stand pat, that all of a sudden, Bob Quinn's out because he wasn't able to do anything. He was handcuffed at the trade deadline. I'm not suggesting that. But if we're not hearing anything about the Lions during the trade deadline in terms of rumors or anything like that, like actual substantiated rumors, not just like suggestion pieces from Sports Illustrated, whatever. I would think that would be kind of at least curious. Like, I think that's something that I would be interested in finding out at the end of the season if they decide to move on, if he was given those, restraints, if he wasn't allowed to make moves at the deadline. Because Jeremy, do you think that the Lions are in a position to be buyers or sellers right now?
No, and that's why I said I think the next 2 weeks are really, really telling. If they win in Atlanta and then, maybe even beat the Colts, then yeah, absolutely they are. Then they've suddenly got, a good feeling about this team, especially if the defense continues to play well. Then you've got to think, well, maybe things just clicked. Maybe that ugly September football that Matt Patricia was talking about, maybe that's all that the first 4 games were. It was just ugly football of them getting it together without the offseason and could build upon that. But until then, yeah, I'm kind of at a spot where it's like you can't really be buyers right now.
Can I ask then? I think that answers one of the questions we had from someone who was asking if the Lions are buyers or sellers at the deadline. And yeah, the answer is not enough information available. But just to do one more hypothetical before we take a break and move on to some other question categories. And I hate to throw this at you because I think some people think I hate this player. I really don't. But KDS Burner 6 asking us, could J.J. Watt be available? And if so, should we target him? You were just mentioning linebackers.
That would be like if Marvel traded Captain America to like DC Comics. Like it's not happening. Like J.J. Watt is the face of a franchise. He's not getting dealt anywhere. I'd be surprised if he played for a team other than the Houston Texans in his career, unless it was like a swan song. Like 1 year with like a championship contender or something.
Right, but at the same time, the Texans are at the point where they are going to have to start thinking about blowing this up a little bit. And I mean, I don't know about blowing up, but like you got to reload while Deshaun Watson is there and in a good mood. JJ Watt's contract ends in 2021. I think he's a cap hit next year for I think 17.5 million right now, this year for 15.5. And he's 31. He's not going to get long contracts after that. And I think you'd see declining production after probably on another contract here. So I don't know. Like, I get where you're coming from, Ryan, but we just talked about, does this player change the identity of your team? I think a JJ Watt would change it. I guess. Yeah, I think you're right, though. I guess the question is, would JJ Watt want to move on from the Texans? Is he that involved? I mean, is he that gung-ho about he wants to paint his career as being a lifer with the Texans or not?
And I think another big thing is who's making that trade. Bill Bryant ain't there anymore. So you're talking an interim GM who's trying to show off, trying to say, hey, maybe I could get the job for real next year. And he trades away JJ Watt.
Trades away the biggest face that franchise ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm never going to say...
No. Within the same calendar year where you also traded away DeAndre Hopkins. It wasn't you.
Right. Yeah, right.
But your organization also traded away Hops.
Right. And so, I mean, I'll never say never, because who knows what's going on in that GM's mind? Who knows what's going on in the Texans organization? Who knows what their plans are beyond this year, since they've already kind of blown everything up? But that would surprise me. That would very, very, very much surprise me.
But if he was up for offer, would you take him?
I'd consider it 100%. Yeah.
Ryan?
I'd consider it too, because he's just so obviously a Matt Patricia dude, right?
Yeah. And I mean, with Julian Okwara injury, Austin Bryant, someone asked if Austin Bryant's going to play this week in our chat. Probably not. He didn't have any training camp. So I think the fact that he returned to practice, great. I think he's still probably a couple weeks away. So give me J.J. Watt. Yeah, that'd be great. But I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, let's take a quick break here. Get some stuff done, chat it up with them, play a little grab ass with the Twitch chat. When we come back, I think we've got some more questions about Bob Quinn. I've got some questions sitting here about young rookie quarterbacks, I think we're going to try to list off who our top 5 Lions are right now, and a question about Wembley Stadium, which we were deprived of, or you could say potentially spared from this year because of COVID-19, depending how you feel about games in England. But we'll be right back on the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Okay. Thank you, Twitch chat, for tuning in, by the way.
Yes.
And right off the bat, Dustin Whitehead with 6-month subscription coming in.
That's right. Thank you for that. And LJ with the 11 months in the middle of that segment. Oof. Appreciate you for that as well. Why does it say Hellboy Kurt for Dustin on my... Was that a different one? I must have missed that. Hellboy Kurt, thank you for the 6 months. He just screams mailbag. Why didn't I see that alert come up?
Huh.
Oh, there it is.
Screamed mailbag like Taylor Decker. Screams football.
Football! We had a couple cameo requests. Unfortunately, we can't give you the Goose cameo yet. Coming soon, hopefully. Any progress there, Ryan?
Yeah, actually, Goose is he's going to spend the night with me on Friday, tomorrow.
Okay, there you go.
Tomorrow, Friday. I'm losing track of all my days.
Come here.
No one ever asked for a cameo of Ruby, but
I got to put that on the channel. Come here.
No one's going to ask for it. It's a big fat cat. The problem is I can't even grab Ruby without him trying to claw me at this point.
Wait.
Zazu.
Wait.
How big is he, Jeremy, in terms of weight?
He's about 52, 53 pounds.
Jesus, I can pick that up.
So Goose got up. He's 59 pounds now. Like, he's still trim and stuff, but like he's He's a big boy.
He's a chonker.
They got to meet up again. Go for round 2.
I know.
Round 2 is like square up, or
kind of. I mean, they weren't fighting,
legitimately.
But they were fighting pretty hard.
They were playing pretty hard. There was blood.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Wow.
I think that was Goose still had his puppy teeth.
Yeah.
Did Zaz have any left or no?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
A while ago. It's possible.
Yeah. I still need my water dish.
Jeremy, real quick, do you mind if I make the announcement about this new podcast here for Twitch, or should I save it for like the recorded part?
You mean Chris thing? Or you are Chris. Jerry thing.
Jerry's thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can drop. There's not really much we can say about it yet in terms of like them.
Yeah, I just want to let people know. I mean, if we'll hold off on it, I don't mind you too. I wasn't sure if I should put it in the recording or just right here, but I might as well just do it right here.
Yeah.
It's still a month out from voting, so but I would ask people to like I did make this news out on my Twitter today that me and Jerry Mallory, who's been on the podcast before, and if we want to put this in the recording, I'll throw it in the recording. But Jerry came to me a while back about like we've talked for I think almost a year now about this idea of a story that he's been involved with since he was legitimately 12 years old. Since he was a kid, he was part of these hotlines in Detroit. And he's been trying to turn into a story for years. And I got emails since I work at Fox Sports Radio about this podcast contest called Next Great Podcast being run by Tongal and iHeart. And we turned it into a semifinalist, 1 of 11. We submitted our pilot this week. And I just want to let people know because we're going to be promoting it where we can. Voting is going to be coming around Thanksgiving. It is a documentary style podcast. It's very much told from Jerry's perspective, but also from a lot of other people in Detroit about in the 90s about kind of pirate bootleg 438 number hotlines for pro wrestling and the communities that surfaced around it. Someone said they weren't interested in pro wrestling. It's not a pro wrestling story. Pro wrestling's the background because these kids in the story are talking about like ECW or WCW, but the story is about them. It's about them on their hotlines, making characters, getting in feuds with each other, forming friendships across racial, social, and even just distance lines. Like Jerry grew up as an inner city kid, but he met kids from like the suburbs he never would have run into. And it's also half a story about ML Curley, who was real name Jim Thompson. He was a pro wrestling columnist for the Detroit News who got busted in 2000 for pedophilia, for soliciting sexual encounters from underage boys with devices with hundreds of names of young boys and their addresses on them. And he got them from running a hotline. But his name and his infamy was kind of known in the hotline community for a while. So it's kind of a two-sided story we're kind of telling here. It's a bit of Making a Murderer. It's a bit of kind of
it's the new Serial. It's essentially bigger than Serial.
It's
not to overpromise anything, but it's the best podcast ever.
To it. Yeah, it's like Serial meets Sandlot.
There you go.
That's what we're making here.
With a little bit of Ready to Rumble sprinkled in.
Yeah, no, but it's a true story. It's a documentary series. I've been wanting to make documentary series forever. I'm really thankful for Jerry letting me kind of come in and be the producer on it. And as soon as we can share that pilot with you guys, we're going to. And I thank Jeremy. He gave me a huge bump with the Pride of Detroit account earlier, and I want to let you guys know because it's Jerry's voice, and I want everyone to hear Jerry's voice on this. Jerry's hyper passionate about this. Is like,
and y'all love
this
Jerry.
Has been his life work to tell this story. And it's Jerry's voice. Yeah, everyone loves hearing Jerry.
Every time Jerry's on here, y'all go crazy. So you guys are gonna love this too.
Yeah, who doesn't love the Wizinator?
Yeah.
Really quick, Ryan. I will be playing Super Squares tonight. I won't be on the Super Squares Twitch though. I need to do my preview, which I have barely touched. So I need that ready in about 14 hours, and I write. It's usually about 2,000 words. So.
Also, by the way,
my shocked face.
Shut up.
Yeah. By the way, I got the Discord link from Nightbot right now. Once Thursday Night Football starts, I am going to be up there. If we have enough people, in Open Lions Hangout for our voice chat to chat about Thursday Night Football. If not, we'll be back and trying to chat about the Sunday game for the Lions. But I think me and Jeremy decided we were calling this a triple G game for the NFL, a good Garbo game.
I don't know about the good part still. You were trying to pitch me as a good game. I'm not sure yet.
I think
it's just a GG.
A Garbo game?
A big old Garbo game.
I got the over under moved down to 39.5 because I think this game is just going to be hot dog. You know what?
I like the Giants plus 4.5. I'm not going to lie.
I moved up to 5 on the site that my friend Bovada King uses. So
I was about to say who was betting this over under of 39. So
well, I did. It's just I don't typically bet, so I just took like $10 out of my change purse and I handed it over to my friend BK69.
Okay. We can jump back into the mailbag if you want. In a second. Or someone asked a question about Galladay, and I noticed that wasn't on the docket. So we can either ask that. We can answer that during the break, or we can answer it during the show. It's up to you.
Well, I'm trying to make sure we keep this within time. I saw we went 20 minutes on the first segment. I know we want to try to get this around 35 or 40.
Yeah.
And we've been going long on these questions. Do you want to make this a Twitch only, or do you want to?
That's fine.
We can throw it in there about Galladay if you want, but it's up to
you.
Let's give the Twitch people something for their money, right?
Okay, yeah. You live audience, you get a freebie. So I lost the exact question of it, and I'm sorry to whoever asked it, but the question is simply, why is it even a question to give Kenny Galladay an extension?
Oh, I saved that. It's from Uncle Fish Dinner.
There you go, Uncle Fish.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. That's another question I had saved. This is now the second time I've done it. I saw who did it, like you, but I have it. It's D Hubber 33.
There you go.
Why is there even a question of whether or not we should pay Kenny G?
Yeah, and I think that's a big storyline in the news right now because of his Instagram post where he just basically said, and we're paraphrasing here because you never know of someone's intentions with an Instagram caption. I've gotten in trouble trying to interpret it, but it certainly sounded like this is going to cost you guys type of post where it's just like, you guys, like, I'm going to keep balling out on Sundays, and the more I do, the higher my price tag is going to be. And I mean, in the offseason, he sounded very optimistic about it getting done. Even last week, he had a really strange quote. Like, when asked about his contract situation, he said something like, yeah, they haven't released anything on it yet, which is like, wait, what? What do you mean by that? And everyone's like, wait, are we about to hear a contract extension? He's like, I don't know. It's just like, okay, that you're being really weird right now. And so there does seem to be at least a little bit of discontent there. So, yeah, I mean, you guys, what do you think? Obviously, Kenny Galladay, if he gets an extension, it's going to be in the 18 to 21 million per year range because that's the going rate of a top wide receiver. You cool with that, Ryan?
I'm not.
Okay.
And I'm a huge Kenny Galladay fan. I think that he's one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. I said that on the podcast after we wrapped up the Jacksonville game. I'm just not interested in paying a wide receiver that much money when they can be found in the draft all over the place. I mean, look at who the top wide receiver is in the NFL, I think, in terms of receiving yards. I'm pretty sure it's Justin Jefferson, or he's top 3.
I think he's top 3, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that guy was wide receiver 5 off the board.
Yeah.
He was behind Jerry Jeudy. He was behind CeeDee Lamb. He was behind Henry Ruggs. All 3 of those guys have been big-time contributors, especially CeeDee Lamb. He's emerged as maybe like one of the best slot receivers in the entire NFL.
Number 7 in receiving yards right now.
Who is?
CeeDee Lamb. Justin's 5.
CeeDee Lamb is?
Yeah.
Justin's 5?
Yep.
I mean, right there in and of itself, Chris, I'll let you get to your point, but 5th and 7th, and those guys are mid-first round draft picks. Go and invest a draft pick in, one of the top wide receivers in the draft if you want a guy like that.
No,
for much cheap.
Yeah, I was just agreeing with you. Is my point? Like we've made a lot of talk about how the value in getting a big name running back, tailback has kind of dropped off a cliff. I think it's coming for wideouts. Slot use of slot receivers and tight ends up in the NFL. Offenses seem to value having plurality of receivers rather than, a number one weapon most of the times. Like getting a guy like a DeAndre Hopkins right now is kind of becoming a little more rare. Like you still have your guys like Stephon Diggs or DeAndre Hopkins, but like, yeah, as you say, there's so many good wide receivers coming into the NFL. I feel like you've got a massive pool of labor that you don't need. There's not a scarcity that drives up the cost of a wide receiver.
That's a great point. I mean, ask the Saints right now how they feel about giving Michael Thomas all that money.
Yeah, where's he been? Yeah,
and I mean,
dealt with injuries, got essentially benched for a game because of conduct detrimental to the team, and now he's nursing I think a hamstring on the other side of it. And you know what they did? They went out and got Emmanuel Sanders as insurance, and the Saints are they're fine. Like they're not dying for it. They're not 0-5. They're not terrible for it. Look at what the Vikings did. They swapped out Stephon Diggs and they got the guy who's 5th in receiving yards in the NFL.
Yeah, when we keep looking at how many pieces over the years Seattle's taken away from Russell Wilson, and yet DK Metcalf, a second rounder from a few years ago, is top 10 in receiving yards.
Good thing the Lions got that linebacker from Hawaii.
But I mean, I'm with you guys in a sense. I mean, we mock the Texans for it, but has DeAndre Hopkins made the Cardinals an elite team? Has he really even moved the notch much with their offense?
But the problem with them is that it's just they still have the same problem as always, that their offensive line is garbo, and they've got.
That's what I'm saying. If you're spending $27 million a year on DeAndre Hopkins, you're not going to necessarily have the resources to build your offensive line, and so I get it, but at the same time, it's just to me, it's frustrating seeing these good players. And I don't think Kenny Galladay is a top 10 wide receiver.
I agree with you. Absolutely,
but we saw Kenny Galladay, or we saw Graham Glasgow, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. Just getting that homegrown talent feels like the right way to build not only loyalty, but
say the word, say the C word.
What's the C word? I don't even know.
Culture.
Maybe even a culture.
I know you've always said culture is winning, but keeping your homegrown talent does go a long way to culture. It tells guys, hey, if you come and play here in Detroit, we will take care of you.
Yeah. And so there's a value to that. And I don't know. We obviously don't know exactly what's happening with negotiations. Maybe Kenny is asking for that 21, 22, 23 million range, and Lions aren't willing to give it to him. And I would understand it if it's at that level. The thing is, he's going to get paid. And I think he might know that. If the Lions aren't willing to pay, there is going to be someone out there that will be willing to pay that 20 million plus range. And if the Lions aren't one of them, it's going to suck. I'm not going to like it right away. And it means they're probably going to go high wide receiver in the draft, which I think they could anyways, given the fact that Marvin Jones is probably gone, given the fact that Danny Amendola might not want to come back at 37 or whatever he is.
How is he older than Des Bryant? How?
That's a hell of a question.
Significantly older, a whole kindergartner older than Des Bryant.
I think the other thing too is that when it comes down to it for Galladay, I think you just missed the window when it came to the time. You should have done the extension in the summer, and that's what it's going to come down to. Both parties decided to roll the dice here. They both decided, we are going to gamble on what you do in 2020. And right now, Kenny is he's winning that gamble. I think the Lions front office gambled that he wouldn't have a season that would command his ability to go out onto the open market and get whatever he wanted from people, versus Kenny, who thought that he could. And right now, Kenny, I think if Kenny does go on the open market, he will command way more than I think the Lions would pay him for. But again, maybe the sea change is coming for wide receivers, and we just don't know it yet.
Maybe
it's hard to tell.
But if that's true, if that's the gamble that the Lions were playing, they're idiots. He just made a Pro Bowl. You have to know he's about to get paid, and so I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly what happened. I don't know if they were just stubborn from the get go and said, "Hey, listen, we know that's the market that the rest of the NFL has decided that wide receivers are going to get, but that's not our budget. We're not willing to spend 19, 20, 21 million.
Real quick in a few words, Jeremy and Chris, if the Lions don't re-sign Kenny Golladay, is there a player outside of Matthew Stafford that would signify like a bigger rebuild on the way?
Decker, maybe?
I was going to say it'd have to be.
They just gave him a contract.
Well, they just gave him money.
Yeah, well, we've seen them do that anyways. Just give someone an
Ragnow
extension and trade him away anyways.
How much are people really
Ragnow.
getting on up if I say a center? Yeah, that's the one thing that holds me off from saying Ragnow.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of the offensive identity right now is on the offensive line. It's where resources have gone. Like almost how many drafts? Like we've been building on this offensive line for a long time. If you start taking away the star pieces from the offensive line, like I think that's why Graham Glasgow's coming up here in a little bit. But other than him, like you take away any more pieces, I think people would notice from the offensive line. But maybe I overvalue it. Maybe I am, as someone at FSR told me the other day, my head is too close to the weeds when it comes to Lions on this.
How am I not myself, says Jack Fox. Good point. It's a good point.
Don Muleback.
How dare you?
It sounds like a funeral. It's not a rebuild, that's a funeral.
Just send him out on a boat and shoot flaming arrows at him.
There's a funeral procession that rides through Allen Park.
Matt Prater like has to be on the funeral barge and immolate himself with Muleback.
I think he ceremoniously like kicks 3 balls like from like 55 yards out. And,
it's like a 10-gun salute just with field goals.
It's all of them.
Just that whole scene from Witcher 3. Yeah.
All right, ready to get back into it?
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh wait, Tyler, I almost missed it. Tyler get resubbed for 5 months. Thank you for the 5 months, bud. Appreciate it. Our good friend Tyler Bustador.
This is all good because we're trying to not to pull back the curtain too much, but we're trying to upgrade some equipment.
True.
All right, let's get back into it. I'm going to start on the questions, by the way, Jeremy, Ryan. I'm going to start on...
Hold on. I can't hear you. I can't hear you because that alert is so goddamn loud. Oh, we got another one. Lefty Detroit with the 5 gifted, and LJ comes in almost immediately after with 5 of his own. Thank you guys, appreciate you. Oh, that alert is so great and so horrible at the same time. I literally can't hear anything else that happens.
No, that's fine. I saw it like as I was like talking about it. I saw the hype train note and I was like, oh no. All right, level 4 already. All right, so I'm gonna take the first question off the top here from first question under the Bob Quinn column
from MC.
From MC, yeah. What do you think about the second question? Or should I just skip that one?
We've been going kind of long on these ones. I think maybe you can skip that one.
Yeah, I want to get to the miscellaneous questions.
Yeah.
There's some good ones in there.
And, I mean, if I'm feeling up to it, I might just do a written mailbag for some of the leftover ones on Saturday because we don't usually have a ton of Saturday content.
Yeah, and usually some people get some questions in on the thread after we do this mailbag too, so yeah.
Hold on. Hold on. Zeus with the 5 gifted as well. Congratulations to Kuzno, our good friend Brett Kuzno got one. Invader Scodge got one. Zero Dark 40 got one. Big Mediclaus got one, and so did D. Huber, who asked that question earlier. Thanks for all the gifted subs, y'all. We are level 5 hype train. Appreciate you guys.
This happens during our podcast. I know exactly what I'm gonna. Jeremy is just gonna be like freaking out in the middle of a question.
Well, yeah. Did you see the clip from last one in which I literally like Ryan was answering a question? I'm just like, then I just like I couldn't keep a straight face. I literally grabbed my heart. That's how much it shook me.
You guys rule so much.
But yeah. Also, to all of you that got gifted subs, we didn't do it this time, but during the regular PODcast, we're starting to run ads And that's just so that we can support the show. Obviously, what we do here is all free. Nothing costs you any money, whether it's on the site or the podcast or YouTube, any of that stuff. It's all free to you guys, and we want to keep it that way. We don't want to push to a subscription model. We don't necessarily want to do, any of the extra stuff.
We've talked about Patreon in the past, but I think we've all come to the conclusion that it's a lot of work we just can't do right now to give you the value for you guys paying for Patreon. So
so
whatever work we do, we're giving you for free.
Yeah. So you'll just get a 60-second ads in between our breaks of the POD cast. But if you're subbed, just like those 5, that's another sub. If you're subbed to the channel, you don't ever get commercials, whether you jump on. I know sometimes when you jump right onto our Twitch page, you get ads, and then we'll run those ads between breaks. You won't ever get them if you're subbed. So, Uncle Indigo.
We also got to do the reason why we also got to do the scheduled ads too is because Twitch at some point, I've seen some places where they just, if you don't schedule them, they just throw them in there randomly. Right. We don't want that to happen to you guys while the podcast is going on.
Exactly.
Like all of a sudden you're hearing us breaking down an amazing Lions victory, and all of a sudden you've got to watch an ad for The Boys season 2.
Hey, don't hate on it though. Or maybe the new
Borat movie. I'm about to go and cram. I haven't seen the first season of The Boys. I think I'm going to go cram both seasons this weekend. So
there you go. Anyways, Uncle, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. You're up to 35 gifted in the channel, so we really appreciate you. Good friend. He's a Discord friend as well. Appreciate you. And congratulations to Suzuki TG, Rory, the Dizzy Wizard, and Forgety, also a nice Twitch friend of ours.
I apparently got an emote thanks to Uncle Indigo as well.
Yeah, I think when you gift out subs, like other people get fancy emotes, so that's something else that's cool, I guess. I don't know. We're working to like make the subscriber experience better too. Like at some point we're gonna have special badges for Pride of Detroit for if you're a 3-month sub, you get a special badge. 6 months, 9 months, a year, all that sort of stuff. We're working on that behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think behind the scenes too, what I'd like to do for the Discord is if you join the Discord, I'd like to ID our Twitch subscribers.
Mm-hmm. Like we could have a subscriber channel. I think it's possible to have a subscriber channel on your Discord.
Yeah, even I have the role set up for like POD supporters. I'd love for you, make your names shiny or whatever.
Yeah. And plus, as a bunch of people in the chat are doing, you also get the awesome emotes. So you get the angry Stafford, you get the cheering lion, the crying lion, the goose, and the Zazu emotes. So enjoy all those if you got a sub today.
All right, we should get back to it.
Hold on. LJ with another 5 to push us to the level 5 hype train is complete. Cars Riddle Nerd, Rogabook, Lawboy Bobo, and RC Vader got the subs. LJ, you're the man. Appreciate it. Wow. 173% hype train. We killed it, y'all. And look at we are an all-time sub count. It's currently at 130. I think it's more than that. And now it's going to be even more than that. Because both Detroit.
Podcast at this point.
Yeah, Detroit. Guys, we got to get back to it at some point. But Detroit and Zeus both get 5. And there's another 5 from Zeus. Y'all. You got to chill. We're going to be...
Thursday Night Football's in half an hour.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a very angry girlfriend because I'm gonna go straight downstairs and start watching football. But thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
thank you.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And Absolvo with Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate that as well. I do a whole Twitch Prime thing, but we don't have time. Just know that if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free.
And I honestly, if I say that again, someone else is gonna come in with another hype train. So we got to get going now.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And welcome back to another Pride of Detroit PODcast mailbag edition, as we have been with Twitch chat during this break, unable to rejoin because we kept getting subscriber hype trains, which is, just that money's going to a good place. Just know that. But
also know that we answered some extra questions in between breaks, so you need to join our live show if you're just listening on the podcast.
Or if you can't go see the live show, where on YouTube can they watch it, Jeremy?
Our YouTube page. It doesn't have a fancy URL that I can say off the top of my head, but yeah, just search Pride of Detroit on YouTube, and we put all these things up there.
Look for Pride of Detroit on YouTube, and I think maybe we might try streaming to YouTube in the future. I don't know yet. We're in limbo about that right now, but it's coming. It's coming. We're bringing you podcasts and we're bringing you POD in more ways than you could ever dream of. And it's kind of crazy.
Or maybe ever want. We're not sure. We're still feeling
it's
out.
Absolutely
we might be forcing ourselves a little too much into your lives, but we'll see.
Yeah. Just more places where you can leave reviews saying Chris doesn't know anything about football.
We love you, Chris.
Thank you. Let's see. Let's get back to the questions then. I've got a Bob Quinn question here, and I feel like I really want to lead off on this before we go lightning round. So this is from MC Def Fish, Def as in DEF as in defense, MC Defense Fish. I'm just going to call him that. After all the hand-wringing over the exits of players like Golden Tate, Quandre Diggs, Snacks Harrison, Darius Slay, and Graham Glasgow, I'm noticing only average play at best from any of them this season if they're playing at all. Dare we say that Quinn was right to cut bait with these players when he did, especially given the premiums commanded by Slay and Glasgow? Now, this kind of dovetails nicely into what we were talking about with Twitch chat during our break, which is the idea of kind of premiums about, certain positions being devalued, that you no longer need to overpay at certain positions if you are in a general manager role. I know that's not friendly towards players, but it's just the reality of what the NFL is right now. I do push back a little bit myself that they're not playing well, only just because a lot of these players were sent to, I hate to say it, garbo teams. Slay, the Eagles have not been good with, even though Darius Slay has been there. Darius Slay has not been the problem in Philadelphia, but the rest of the team is bad. Golden Tate got shipped over to the Giants, in case anyone was watching. I don't know what's going on with the Giants. Golden Tate's not the problem there. Everything else is. Snacks Harrison, I guess we can say there was something going on there, but he's on a practice squad, and I think the Seahawks are going to be bringing him up. And then Graham Glasgow, I just had his name here, and I'm just immediately skipped my mind where he's at.
He's at the Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
Broncos, that's right. Again, another garbage team right now. All these teams that are either rebuilding or kind of in the dumps. So I kind of push back a little bit on it, but I kind of agree that it's like, I don't think the Lions have really, except for maybe Darius Slay, dropped too far off in some of those positional categories where they lost players. What do you guys think?
I kind of think each situation here is different. Like, you can't... Yes. I don't think they got rid of guys like Quandre Diggs and Darius Slay because they didn't think they were talented. I think that was a culture clash. I think that was a fact that whoever you want to blame, whether it was Quandre Diggs' fault, Darius Slay's fault, Matt Patricia's fault, there was a clash. There was a butting of heads. The trades had to happen, unfortunately. But that wasn't just them like, oh, we weren't willing to pay. I mean, they had just given Quandre Diggs an extension. They were fine with where he was paid. He was fine with how he was getting paid. Darius Slay's a little bit different, but at the same time, like, he straight up said like he wasn't going to play for him anymore. So he had leveraged his way out of Detroit, and the Lions had no way of keeping him. Now, if you want to talk Snacks Harrison, again, it's kind of similar. There was a mutual parting there. It wasn't a matter of Lions didn't want to pay him. They had given him the extension. They were okay with paying him. But at the same time, both decided, his role wasn't what they wanted to be. So that's a mistake. They gave an extension to a guy and then said, you know what, this isn't working. That's a mistake. That's not them necessarily saying, oh, you're not worth it. And then Golden Tate, I think that was the right move. At the time, I was angry about it because I thought the team could have competed, but I'm totally okay with that trade. They got great value for him.
Harris.
Well, value in the draft. It's not his. Well, it is his fault that they drafted. Whatever. And so, I mean, to answer your overall question, no, I don't think we give Bob Quinn credit for any of those necessarily outside of Golden Tate. Snacks Harrison is another. I mean, we'll see how he plays. I wouldn't say he's been trashed because he hasn't really just gotten the opportunity to play. He took his time to choose the team that he wanted to play for. He picked a really good team. Give him a couple weeks to get settled. He didn't have an off season. Maybe maybe he's about to get himself a ring. We don't know yet. So I don't know. I overall, I think coaching has a big role to play here in terms of this. This isn't just about Bob Quinn. This is about Matt Patricia's not harnessing a good culture with a couple of those guys. But overall, I'm not going to give him necessarily any credit because these guys, without an offseason, with a new team, aren't playing out of the world yet.
Any thoughts, Ryan?
No, I think you guys did a pretty good job of summing it up.
Yeah, again, for me, like the only two I'm really considering here is Quandre Diggs and Snacks Harrison because they both landed on the Seahawks. All these other teams, like, I mean, I know it's hard to say that, but like, I mean, what do you want me to do about Darius Slay right now when the Eagles have like one win right now, and their quarterback doesn't know how to play football anymore, and that whole team is collapsing. And I'm just going to sit here, and I think Darius Slay is going under concussion protocol right now too, if I'm not mistaken, or at least came out of concussion protocol just recently. Like, there's a lot of extenuating factors to his season where I just can't look here 6 games into the NFL season, shrug my shoulders and say, yeah, you know what, Darius Slay wasn't going to do anything, and the Lions were right to move on from him. I can't do that.
Literally 57 seconds ago, Quandre Diggs tweeted the pray hand emoji when someone tweeted about the trade that he had the Lions made for him about a couple years ago.
Yeah, some of these guys did want to get out of here too. So, I mean, Diggs is definitely one who, but I mean, that was an ugly trade too, Jeremy. Yeah. That whole situation with Diggs was just ugly. I totally understand. Like, I know fans will be mad at him. I can't think of a reason to be mad at him. Like, the Lions did, and it's hard to admit sometimes, but they did do him a little dirty there. But I mean, maybe he had some fault in there too. That's always how it is, though. It's never one side is 100% right, one side's 100% wrong. I want to move on to some of these other questions here. This is more of an NFL question, but I figure we might ask this because I know Stafford's future has been kind of a interesting subject the last few weeks. This is from Nate Savage on Twitter. If you had a choice of a starting rookie quarterback to lead the Lions after seeing a small sample size from this year, who would it be? Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, or Tua Tagovailoa?
Do I need to bring up some Tua talk? I got the Tua theme.
I still have the theme. Let's go.
I did too. All right, I'm playing it.
Tua. All right. I never thought we'd hear it again.
We had to bring it back.
But we really haven't gotten our dose of Tua yet, you know, so that's kind of like a wait and be seen type thing. Out of those other two quarterbacks, Joe Burrow has. I was going to just say Joe Burrow has been like incredible. I know Justin Herbert's kind of caught all the headlines because of the way he, you know, played against the Saints on that primetime game, but Joe Burrow has just like taken such a terrible football team. Can we all just reminisce and think for a second on how bad the Cincinnati Bengals were last season? I mean, there's a reason why they had the number 1 overall pick, and there was a reason why there was no question, no doubt in mind that Joe Burrow was going to be the number 1 guy. He's played above his years. Like he doesn't look like a rookie necessarily. There's mistakes that he's made. He's thrown some picks, but like other than that, I mean, he's really shown himself to be like a guy who could legitimately stake his claim to being the best quarterback in the league someday.
I'm with you in that, like, the only thing we've really seen out of Tua is him go to the center of the field for a photo op and sit down. So staged. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on.
No, it looks
no
pretty.
Heart.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm in sports talk radio, Jeremy. Of course, I have no heart.
You know what? Good
like,
point.
No, I'm sorry. That was set up there for the sports writers like you, Jeremy, who are sentimental at heart, who want to believe these things are real. I'm sorry. No, it was probably emotional. Go to the center to sit there in the center of the stadium after a game. No, but dare I say, there's maybe some East Coast bias happening when we're talking about Joe Burrow and not giving enough. Like, I think Joe Burrow is fantastic. I agree with everything Ryan's saying, but Justin Herbert, I don't think anyone's really paying attention to what's going on with the Chargers with Justin Herbert right now. I think I've watched him play a few games. He's got a lot of upside and potential to him right now. And he's just, each game he goes out there, he's looking better and better. I know the Chargers haven't exactly turned that into wins, but considering where the Chargers were at the end of last year, can you really be surprised by that? kind of the same place that Ryan was talking about with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think I'd probably lean. I'm probably with Ryan. I'm probably leaning Burrow, but not by much. I really like Herbert.
I feel like Ryan doesn't want to talk Justin Herbert because he stole a job from Tyrod Taylor.
A physician
yes,
stole a job from Tyrod Taylor.
But
there should be a medical lawsuit happening.
But I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to watch Justin Herbert play much at all, if at all. But I mean, looking at his stats, he's got 107.1 passer rating, and he's done it against these teams. These are his 4 starts: Chiefs, Panthers, Bucks, Saints.
Yeah, you threw him in the fire.
Yeah.
And he's doing pretty damn well.
They were all pretty close games, too.
Yeah.
I don't think that
all
they got
1
blown
point
out
games.
in any game.
Every single one is a 1 point game. Lost by 3, lost by 5, lost by 7, lost by 3.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Herbert, I think Herbert was going into a much better situation in Los Angeles, though, than Joe Burrow's been given. I mean, Joe Burrow's got Joe Mixon, and I mean, he's got an aging AJ Green to throw to. I know they drafted T. Higgins. They got Tyler Boyd. Yeah, so I mean, that's a whole rebuild. Meanwhile, the Chargers got Keenan Allen. They got Mike Williams. They got Austin Eckler. They have, all the skill position players you could ever want. I mean, they have your guys' number 1 tight end in your hearts and in your listcast rankings and Hunter Henry. But and their offensive line, they did some rebuilding to that. I know I think they went out and got Trey Turner from the Panthers. That was like a really one-sided trade that people were all kind of like, whoa, what Carolina's in a full rebuild. They're trading their best offensive lineman. So, I mean, the Chargers are just, I think, in just a much better situation than
fair.
Yeah, but I totally get it too, because not only is it like East Coast bias a little bit, it's a West Coast team and everything, but the Chargers are the NFL equivalent of the Angels in that they could be doing amazing things and no one would pay attention because it's the Chargers.
Right.
Like there's something about being the number 2 team in Southern California that just makes everyone forget about you.
I mean, don't you see that in every sport though? I mean, the Clippers are just like an afterthought always.
I mean, they've kind of come into their own a little bit, but I mean that it took Kawhi Leonard for them to do that, right? And then I don't remember I don't follow hockey too much anymore, but I can't remember last time we've thought about the Ducks instead of the Kings.
That's because that's Orange County. No, that doesn't count as LA.
Yeah, but they started for San Diego up until I said SoCal. But anyway, no, I thank you guys. I enjoyed that talk. That was actually good. So yeah, no, I mean, I think I'm with Ryan. I think the answer is Burrow, but for me, I would take either Burrow or Herbert, and I just don't think we've seen enough out of Tua for me to say there.
I think this might make a lot of Michigan people sick, but I just kind of want Cincinnati to have something nice. Like, I mean, the Bengals are terrible. They've been an awful football team for however long. Like, they've experienced very little success.
I'm sorry for what they've done to Chile. They deserve nothing.
Their owner, you want to talk about bad owners in sports. I think the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals might actually be one of those that qualifies for that. Like, the guy is just, he doesn't like paying people for anything, for any reason. So it's just, yeah. Okay, next question. We spent a lot of time on that one. Aries from @LoadedAries. Who would be your top 5 Lions in order? And do you see your list staying the same by year's end?
Boy.
Might have to take the pen out for this one.
Pen's out, baby.
Let's see. I'm still going Matthew Stafford 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I know he has.
I think all of us can though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we all putting Stafford 1?
Yeah, I'm putting Stafford 1. I'm putting Galladay on there, probably a 2 right now.
Here's what I'm just gonna go right off the dome here. Stafford, okay. Decker.
Yes, I have Decker as well.
Flowers, Ragnow, Jamie Collins.
You have way more defensive players than I thought you would.
Those are the only 2 that are playing well.
And I'm also shocked that you did not have Duron Harmon on there.
I have Stafford, Galladay, Decker. I'm leaning Harmon. I haven't committed to it yet, and then I've got to put Jack Fox on there.
No.
I'm gonna go Matthew Stafford, Frank Ragnow. I love his personality. That's why I miss Graham Glasgow so much, I think. But yeah, Matthew Stafford, Frank Ragnow, Kenny Galladay. One name that we haven't said that I want to include is Amani Aurorier. Like,
okay.
I think that he's just going to continue to play himself into like a bigger and bigger role. And then my last guy, I have to do it. I have to do it, and I have to say John Tennessini.
That should keep Twitch chat happy. For my fifth, can I put Hawkinson on here? Am I crazy?
No.
Ryan, stop.
Is that no? I'm crazy. I'm not crazy, or no? Don't put him on there.
That's just no. I wouldn't put him on my list, but this is your list. My actual number 5 is DeAndre Swift, and he probably has the most room to rise.
Yeah, I think to the second part of the question though is like, no, I'm totally gonna change this by the end of the year. We're only 6 games in.
It's okay. I got the list right.
Oh, great. It's gonna hang it over our heads. All right. Let's see here. Next question from Feel the Burn 2020. RIP. Do you think limiting Jared Davis's snaps and subsequent high Pro Football Focus grade is a function of luck or good coaching? So yeah, almost paradoxically, Jared Davis's snaps have kind of plummeted off earth, but his PFF grade when he has been on the field has been pretty good.
Yeah, it's 94.5 was his PFF grade in week 4. 95.2, even better last week with only 19 and 11 snaps respectively. Overall, 81.1 grade for the season. No, it's fake. I'm sorry. It's not real. I've even talked to Brett Whitefield, formerly of PFF, about this, and he said a lot of his grade is being influenced by 2 forced fumbles that he's had, which you might not even remember that he has 2 forced fumbles, but he technically has 2 forced fumbles. They didn't count. They didn't get recovered. So that's probably why you don't remember it. But apparently forced fumbles is like a big grade influencer. And yeah, I mean, he is doing some good things. I'm not going to take it away from him, but his coverage grades of 94.2 and 95.4, no, he's suddenly not good in coverage. I don't buy that even for a second. I just think if you want to see what he's doing well, Eric Schlitt over at LinesWire has a really good article where he breaks down every single snap from that Jacksonville game, but I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. I think this is just small sample size, and yeah, he's been playing okay, but I'm not buying it.
I'll stand with you on that. Let's go real quick to this next question then. So I'm going to finish off with 2 questions from Sodanad. First one is, do you think Sunday's game could have gone differently if it was played at Wembley? He asks as a biased UK fan. So that would have been the Jacksonville Jaguars. In case you forgot, because of COVID and the scheduling and everything. Yeah. Jacksonville Jaguars versus Detroit Lions was supposed to be at Wembley Stadium this year, over in the UK in London. And that brings me to my favorite. I love the crazy stats because I think, you know what? I think where this question is coming from is there's this perceived notion that the Jaguars either perform well in London or they're used to going over in London. And granted, true, they've been over there every year since, I believe, 2013. They've been over there. Yeah, they've been there every year since 2013. They've made a trip over to the UK. I am not kidding you. They played the 49ers in 2013. Then they played the Cowboys. Then they played, I believe, the Bills, the Colts, the Ravens, the Eagles, and the Texans. So I think in those games they are, I believe, 3-4,
which is above average for the Jaguars, maybe.
Yeah, well, like it's funny. Like the only game there where they were really dominant was that 2017 game where they beat the brakes off of the Ravens. But that was also the 2017 where the Jaguars were good with that, defense, the Saxonville defense. The Lions, by comparison, have only been over there twice, and they are batting 500. Yeah. Yep, 1-1.
But I don't know. To get to the basis of this question, though, like, I don't know. I'm not the kind of person that really factors in venue too much. Like, even home or away, in terms of my perspective on what's going to happen in the game, I don't know if that makes big of a difference. The one thing that I can tell you for sure would have made a difference is the Lions wouldn't have had as many dehydration issues in London. So maybe they have healthy right tackles the entire game. But I mean, that's the only tangible thing I could think of that would play out differently in this game. I mean, the Lions just looked like the much better team, so I don't think Jacksonville has a better shot.
Yeah, I think it had more to do with the fact that it's now Gardner Minshew's the quarterback, and the Lions just were able to get to him. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
No, there's no tangible thing that you can point to and say like this would be influence or this would be a factor in the game. If anything, I think it would benefit Detroit.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they wouldn't have had to play in the heat.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough.
I mean, yeah. It's just I'm fascinated by it from the fact that, but I don't know if there's any tangible proof that if the Jaguars' record was better in the UK, we could say, yeah, they've mastered how to travel that far on the reg better than other teams. But I don't think the proof's not there. The proof's not there. Even in the more recent games, you don't see them like overwhelmingly winning. Like they lost the Eagles in 2018. They lost the Texans in 2019. I mean, we were going back to 2016 and 2017, 2015 when they had a lot of those good defensive pieces. And they were playing the Bills back then. They were playing a bad Ravens team, and they were playing the Colts. I think that was 2016. Andrew Luck was Andrew Luck was still on that team right there. But I think they caught him before they had Luck back that year, if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely wrong. Someone's going to tell me I don't know football. Let's see. Anyway, the second part of his question, and what we're going to end on, which Lions player do you think would be the best at dressing up for Halloween?
Dressing up as?
Yeah, this is you gotta be a little careful here. You know what? Here, let me step back from the ledge a little bit. We'll reformat this with someone else's Halloween question. El Garaz, what would your ideal Lions/NFL related Halloween costume be? Like a sarcastic Dagger Time reference or something related to the Audible Dong.
Careful.
So yep. Shout out to our friend Audible Dong.
All right, I thought about this one. I got a good answer.
Okay.
It's very situational. I don't know if there's a lot of Halloween parties happening this year, but let's say you're invited to 2 parties. You really only want to go to one. You don't want to go to both. So you go to one. You first commit to both. You say, hey, I'm going to be there for both. You go to one, show up as whatever you want. Doesn't have to be Lions related. Then when you inevitably get a call from the person that you didn't go to, you get a call from their party, you say, and they're like, hey, why weren't you there? And you just say, oh, I was going as a Lions pass rush. You probably didn't see me.
Bazinga.
That's mean and convoluted. Do you have an answer, Chris? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to put on just a pretty plain, polo and a baseball cap, and I'm just going to wear 2 watches.
Mm-mm.
And just have a dour look. Just have a dour look on my face the entire time that never changes.
I am getting booed hard by our Twitch chat, by the
way. For me, I would wear a Matthew Stafford jersey, but I would just be also like a big piece of paper, and I would go as subsidized and unsubsidized Stafford loans.
Okay. That's even worse. Nope.
It's terrible.
Nope.
I feel like that's kind of good. There was a Halloween that I showed up and we were supposed to be the Wizard of Oz in our English department, and I wore a Calvin Johnson jersey, and I was supposed to be the Cowardly Lion.
Wow.
Well, I think I'm just gonna have to kill the podcast right here and then, just after this. Yeah, I already see in the chat, Zeus the Loose Goose is saying he demands a refund on his gifted subs. We've done it. We've killed Pride of Detroit. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you Sunday for the game. Until then, see you Starside.
By the way, sorry in the middle of that Twitch chat. I don't remember when I hit the number 1 on my keypad, but for a while you guys were just staring at our title screen. I'm sorry. You heard us, but you didn't see us. My bad on that.
Okay. Ooh, actually, Kuznos has a great question. I'm sad I missed this. Kuzno 23. Tony Paco's or Rudy's hot dog in Toledo?
That's obviously a question for you because I don't know what either of those
is.
things are.
Rudy's is a hot dog stand, and Tony Paco's is kind of a Hungarian restaurant, which has. I mean, usually when I go to, oh, did you make it, Leaf?
I did.
Did you make? Okay. Usually when I go there, I don't actually get their hot dogs, their sausage. I get the chicken paprikas because it's so good. But I think I would go Tony Paco's over Rudy's. Like I appreciate Rudy's. However, usually when we've gone to Rudy's, I've usually just gone and got. I think we usually go to Rudy's in Toledo for ice cream. To be honest, I don't usually go there for a hot dog. So,
speaking of hot dogs,
I'm thinking of another one, but still, the answer is still. I wasn't thinking of Rudy's. I was thinking about something else on Central Avenue, but the answer is still Tony Paco's.
Really quick, how am I not myself says you should wear a Nate Burleson jersey and carry around a pizza box.
Oh,
okay.
That'd be good for you, Ryan, specifically. I think that's a Ryan specific one.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
Or
you
could just be Jermaine Curse.
No. Oh, that's mean. I could be Greg Jennings.
Yes.
By the way, I was thinking of Jan's in Toledo. Sorry to derail all this. I was thinking of Jan's when I was thinking of Rudy's.
See, if you would have said that, although I guess he's not a Lion, but carry the team on your back.
He wasn't an announcer for the last Lions game though.
That's true.
He actually is. He's actually pretty good on broadcast.
I usually have the broadcast turned down way low or muted completely, so I didn't really hear. But I'll trust you.
Thank you.
Fox needs better announcers. I don't really like any of their announcers.
Chris Myers is garbage. He's awful. As a play-by-play guy, he's awful.
To quote our favorite movie, Ryan, this town needs an enema when it comes to the Fox broadcast crews.
Yes.
I mean, none of the CBS guys are really that great either, to be honest. But we have to put up with Fox because the Lions are NFC.
Right.
Yeah. Jim Nance is probably the best play-by-play guy in the game.
Maybe.
Do you think that there's anybody better?
I mean, if you include, I think Al Michaels is. But...
I feel terrible about this because, man, I grew up with Vern Lundquist and I loved his calls. I know he did like Cowboys, but I've always known Vern as like a college guy. So there was always some good college guys you could lean on, but like NFL, I can't. I mean, unless you really like Al Michaels. I'm not a huge fan of Al Michaels, though. I think Joe Buck's the best one.
I don't know. He got dangerously close to his Randy Moss moment during the Aaron Rodgers triple
despicable act.
What is it called? I don't even remember.
The three pumps.
Three pumps. That's right. By the way, LJ, I forgot to give you a shout out for your 5 subs in the middle of the podcast. So thank you, LJ, for another 5.
I knew you guys were laughing about something, and it wasn't what I was saying.
Yeah, no, it happened again.
Man, the NFL misses Gus Johnson so bad right now.
Ryan's on the anti-Gus train now, though.
You don't like Gus?
No,
he thinks he's too much now.
He had that call in the Texas game, like where he's like, missed field goal, Fox Sports,
like, college football.
I
love that. I'm sorry. It was a bit contrived, but I still think it was amazing.
You know what? You know what's happening there? He has a producer in his ear yelling, "We need to get to break." That's what happened there. Like I guaranteed that's what's happening. Like when broadcasters start to sound weird, it's because there's a producer screaming in their ear because something is going wrong with the production truck or something.
Well, then if that's the case, then he's a champ.
I don't know. I'm speculating. I'm speculating because I believe in Gus. And I think he deserves better than calling Big 12 games at noon.
Play it for chat real quick in case you guys haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was just about to send it to you.
For Lions Forest, what is your winning?
Oh, he shaked it! Whoa! Unbelievable! College football! Fox Sports! The Big 12!
College football! Fox
Big
Sports!
12.
The Big 12!
But that's just what Taylor. Hold up, that's what Taylor Decker was doing. You guys all love
football.
Football.
Yeah, but that's like a football player doing a football player thing. Like if Gus Johnson would have been like announcing, then I probably would have been on board with it.
Johnson is an honorary football player at this point.
Should we call
Down
him
the sideline?
Is he an announcer Pokemon now?
Announcer.
He is. He has like a bunch of Sonic attacks and everything. Like, what's that one Pokemon that's just basically one big giant mouth? Yeah, he's that.
All right, is it time to end this? Because I think we're officially underway with Thursday Night Football.
Yeah,
I know
hey,
I don't want to hold you guys from that amazing game.
Yeah, I see Zeus and Don't Forget OK are already up in the hangout, so I want to go up and join them. I haven't talked to them
yeah.
forever.
So if you guys want to chat football, I don't think I'm going to be there tonight, but a bunch of Lions fans will be in our Discord channel, just chatting during the game, just voice chatting.
And we're trying to overhaul our Discord. We want to integrate it more with Twitch. I'm going to try to talk with Jeremy one of these coming weeks about that. It's hard while we're in the middle of the season, but man, we have a lot of fun with the Discord, and it's an extension of this Twitch channel. If you love the Twitch here, you need to be joining our Discord. We're going to be doing more with it soon. I think one of the things we might be doing with the Twitch funds is trying to do Discord Nitro, so we'll add some more fun features to it. Maybe, I don't know. If not, I'll pony up the money for it if I need to. But
we'll see. But anyways, until then,
here.
Good night, everybody. Make sure you hit that follow button. Whoa, pew. And we will see you on Sunday.